Okay, so for this first option here, this is personally my favorite press break. There's a few reasons why. Number one, I like the fact that it is simple enough that you can use it for all age groups. So this is something that you could use with your beginner teams who, are first, learning a man-to-man press break, how to beat a press. They're, just getting their first experience with that, or you could use this with your high school teams, your older AAU teams. There's just multiple options within this press break. And that's what I like about it. It's pretty diverse, but it's also complicated enough that it, results in a few easy baskets for your team potentially, or just gets the ball in play. So let's take a look at it. So for this one, we are going to start in a line. We're going to bring all of our players down the floor. Near the inbounder. So the reason I like doing this, especially with a man-to-man press, is because, and again, this will work a lot better with a man-to-man press. You'll see why in a minute. But the reason I love bringing all four of my players down toward the inbounder when I'm dealing with a man-to-man press is because it brings down those defenders as well, right? It gets the defenders away from the basket that we're trying to score on and brings them all down to the back court. So then as soon as one of our players beats this press, you basically have no defense remaining. You have no more help that can come in to stop you. You basically have a wide open lane to the basket. So for me, a lot of my press breaks that I use when I'm, trying to beat a man-to-man press involves bringing everybody into the backcourt. Now, for the longest time, as a coach, I was always against that. But, from running plays like this, I realized there are a lot of opportunities here to get a fast break, wide open layup once one of your players, gets past the defender, because there's going to be, like I said, no help there to stop them. So for this one, we're lining up all, like I said, in a row of four, close to the inbounder in the backcourt. We're not touching the front court right now. We're staying in the backcourt. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to look to get the ball in here to number one. That's going to be our first option. Now, what number one's going to do? Number one's not actually going to try to get the ball, close to the ball and maybe play a standard point guard role. What number one in this situation is going to do is actually try to get a wide open layup. So we're going to have number one cut into about right here. But as that's happening, number two is going to move in here as well. And they're going to be ready to set a screen for number one. As number one has a quick change of direction, number two is setting that screen right here as number one does that. Right, number two setting that screen for them after that change of direction. And number one is going to look to cut all the way down to the basket, right? And then typically with this press break, we want somebody with the powerful arm or the ability to throw long range passes to inbound the ball, because this is going to be our first option right here, is getting the ball into number one then for a wide open layup. Now, chances are you might only be able to get this option a few times. Teams will catch on to that pretty quickly and take that option away after you score maybe 2 or 4 points from that. But again, that's 2 or 4 points on the board that, your team might not have had before. In a game where, you could win a game by 2 or 4 points, that means a lot. So we want to get that opportunity, right? Number one's here, right? Let's look at it again. Let's reset it. Right, number two's here, number one's here. We're going to have the ball back in bounds. Number one is going to cut down here, and they're going to change direction. But as they do that, right, number two is coming down here to set that screen. Number one is gone. We're going to try to get a powerful pass in here to number one from our inbounder for a wide open layup. Now, the question is, what happens then if we can't get the ball into number one? Well, there are 3 more options on the floor back here in the backcourt that, we can kind of run pretty quickly. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And as that is happening with number one and number two, simultaneously at the same time, number 3 is going to go set a screen here for number 4. Now, how you want number 4 to come off that screen, if you want it to be set up here or down here, that's kind of up to you as a coach, what you want to do. I typically have them come set the screen this way. So number 4 would cut down here toward the ball. Okay, after number 3 sets that screen, they're going to take off because we want now a little bit more space in the backcourt. So you have to imagine number 1 is going to be about right here. Number 3 is going to be about right here, right? And we still have 2 players here in the backcourt. For number 2, after they set that screen for number 1, they're immediately going to change direction and look for number 4. So they're going to go set another screen for number 4 as number 4 is running. So number 4 is getting hit with 2 screens. So number 4 then is going to look for the basketball, and then number 2 is going to roll to the basketball as well. So you have 2 potential options here for number 4 or number 2. Whoever gets that ball in this situation, number 4, you can then try to bring it up the side, bring it up the middle, whichever you prefer. You could have number 5 cut down the middle. Again, that's totally up to you. But, in this situation of a man-to-man, it's going to be pretty easy for, our players to beat that at this point because, again, all these players are back here now. So if any of their defenders come up to help, right, that's an easy lob pass over there to number 1 or number 3. Typically that wouldn't happen if it is a smart defending team. So they're going to bring, their defense pretty close to the player that they're guarding. And, for that reason, at this point, it's going to be pretty easy to get the ball up the floor in a man-to-man press situation. But again, the main options with this one, we want to try to look for that long pass here with number 1. If we can't get it, though, we have some options then to get the ball in here to number 4 or number 2 off of that roll. So this press break, this man-to-man press breaks, gives us a few different options here, which is why I typically like to use this one the most. Okay, so there we have it. That is my tutorial on how to beat a man-to-man press using a press break. Now, like I said, this is one of my personal favorite press breaks, just because of the multiple elements that it has, right? You have the opportunity for that lob pass down the floor, to get the ball for a wide open layup. But you also have the opportunity to run, kind of your standard man-to-man press break in the backcourt, with your screens or your splits or whatever you may choose to do back there to get the ball to your point guard and kind of, like I said, run your standard man-to-man press break. So there are a few different options that you can do in here, which is why I personally love this one because of the flexibility, right? Personally from running this, I will say that, that first option of that lob pass does usually, the other team does figure that out pretty quickly after maybe, 1 to 3 times of running this. So this isn't a press break that I would run every single possession down the floor, but this is a great press break that I would add to your playbook, teach your athletes how to run so that you might be able to get, like I said, a quick and easy, 4 to 6 points from this, if you run it accurately, with a few minutes or a few possessions of separation in between. So again, this is a different man-to-man press break. It has a couple options, and I would highly recommend adding it to your playbook, whether it's, a youth team that's, just figuring out how to beat a man-to-man press. This option can work because, each option is simple enough. At this point, they likely understand already how to screen, how to cut, all that stuff if they are pressing. But again, that sneaky lob threat option is, a good enough option so that it could work against an older team as well, like your AAU teams or your high school teams. But anyway, that's all we have for today. It'd be greatly appreciated if you could take the time to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.